Nobody in a Sardinian village advertises a longevity secret. They rise before dawn, sweep the stone steps, braid tomatoes on strings, share coffee on the piazza. And the centenarians simply keep showing up at the table. That table is our laboratory. Simple ingredients, modest techniques, decades of repetition. Modern researchers are now reading the chemistry hidden in those bowls, and what they find helps explain why certain foods can produce immediate feeling benefits. A brighter skin tone, steadier energy after a meal, less bloating, while also supporting long-term resilience. Discover 13 Italian superfoods that bring instant youthfulness, and learn the exact kitchen moves that make their benefits happen fast. When I say instant youthfulness, I mean this: small, practical cooking changes you can use today that dramatically increase how much of a key nutrient your body can access right away. Those shifts won't reverse decades in a night, but they do deliver perceivable effects and measurable changes in nutrient bioavailability that science has observed in short-term studies. Throughout this countdown, I'll name the active compound, explain the mechanism in plain language, and give you a one-line kitchen hack you can try this week. If you love practical food science and want simple, evidence-forward ways to eat for resilience, tap like and subscribe. There's more deep-dive kitchen biology coming. We'll move from numbers 13 up to 1, grouping similar foods as we go: immune and brain-protective ingredients, gut-healing legumes and vegetables, vascular and skin-supporting nuts and greens, and finally the culinary pairings that make antioxidants sing. Each stop will be a small scene: a market crate of caps, a grandmother stirring a pot, a fisher delivering sardines at dawn, sensory anchors that remind us these are lived traditions, not lab curiosities. 13. Wild mushrooms, the quiet defenders. You're in a mountain market at sunrise. A woman unfolds a cloth of wild mushrooms, their caps gleaming like wet leather. In rural kitchens they are dried, slowly rehydrated, or tossed into an omelette. A humble fungus becomes a medicinal touch. What matters here are two compounds: ergothioneine, a unique antioxidant found in fungi, and beta-glucans, fibers that talk to the immune system. Ergothioneine acts like a cellular shield, a molecule that accumulates in tissues prone to oxidative damage, such as the brain. Beta-glucans are recognized by immune cells and help calibrate their response, supporting balanced inflammation rather than an overreaction. Together, they're linked in early research to improve markers of oxidative stress and immune resilience. Kitchen tip: use dried porcini or cremini. Rehydrate them in warm water and fold both the soaked liquid and the mushrooms into soups or ragu. A gentle sauté in olive oil preserves ergothioneine while releasing flavor. Takeaway: mushrooms are a low-cost, flavorful way to feed immune and brain-protective pathways. Regular inclusion can create measurable changes in antioxidant capacity and immune markers over weeks, and you'll notice richer umami and satiety sooner. 12. Figs, concentrated sweet fiber and minerals. Picture narrow lanes where figs hang like pendants, and the sun dries them until they shatter with concentrated sweetness. In Italy, figs are eaten fresh in summer and dried for winter stores. Both forms have value. Figs pack both soluble and insoluble fiber and carry a dense load of minerals like potassium and magnesium. The fibers slow glucose absorption, smoothing energy after a meal, and the mineral content supports hydration and muscle function. Small things that add up to a more youthful feeling system. Less post-meal slump, steadier pulses, fewer cramps. Early observational studies link higher fruit-derived fiber intake to improvements in markers of systemic inflammation. Kitchen tip: slice dried figs into tinier bits and add them to morning yogurt or stewed with a splash of wine and rosemary for desserts. The sugar is tempered by fiber when eaten with protein or fat. Takeaway: figs are an easy swap for refined sweets and provide immediate fullness and steadier blood sugar, which feels like more energy and clearer skin in the short term. 11. Cannellini beans, prebiotic starch for a calmer gut. Imagine a village kitchen. A grandmother mashes beans with garlic and lemon, folding them into a bowl of greens. Cannellini beans show up in stews, purees and salads across Italy, often paired with a drizzle of olive oil. The key player is resistant starch, a type of carbohydrate that resists digestion in your small intestine and arrives intact in the colon, where friendly bacteria ferment it into butyrate. Butyrate is the colon's preferred fuel and plays an outsized role in maintaining the gut barrier, reducing local inflammation and signaling to the body's immune system that everything is in balance. Clinical work and human trials have shown that increasing resistant starch can raise butyrate production within days, with measurable improvements in markers associated with gut permeability. Kitchen tip: cook cannellini beans. Cool them in the refrigerator, then use them cold in salads. Cooling increases resistant starch. Reheating preserves much of that benefit, so make a big batch and enjoy leftovers. Takeaway: cannellini beans are inexpensive and easy to add. They feed the microbiome in a way that can reduce bloating and systemic inflammation within a week or two of regular intake. 10. Garlic, the sofrito secret. Sulfur compounds made bioavailable. Close your eyes and think of a sofrito. Finely chopped garlic and onion, gently sizzling in golden olive oil, releasing an aromatic veil that draws the neighborhood indoors. Italian cooking uses gentle heat intentionally. It transforms raw compounds into forms our bodies can work with. Raw garlic contains sulfur compounds that, when crushed, form allicin. With gentle heat in oil, the classic sofrito technique, some of these sulfur compounds rearrange into ajoine and other fat-soluble molecules, like diallyl disulfide, that are more bioavailable and have been associated in early studies with cardiovascular markers such as platelet function and moderate reductions in oxidative stress. The culinary chemistry of slow, low-heat sautéing concentrates flavor and converts garlic into forms that are easier for our bodies to absorb. Kitchen tip: start your sauces and stews with sofrito. Garlic and onions sweated in olive oil over low heat for several minutes before adding tomatoes or stock. Avoid blasting at high heat. The gentle method preserves beneficial compounds and their savory profile. Takeaway: sofrito is a twofold win. It unlocks garlic's protective sulfur chemistry and makes dishes taste richer, producing immediate sensory pleasure and measurable biochemical shifts over short-term feeding studies. Number 9. Pistachios, small nuts, big vision and heart benefits. A crate of green-tinted pistachios sits beneath a fig tree. Kids crack them for midday snacks. Italians favor pistachios on pastries and in pesto, but these nuts deserve a place at any savory table. Pistachios are unusually rich in lutein and zeaxanthin, pigments that accumulate in the retina's macula and help filter damaging blue light. They also contain unique polyphenols that research links to reduced oxidation of LDL cholesterol, a process implicated in atherosclerosis. In short-term feeding studies, regular pistachio consumption improves markers of vascular inflammation and slows LDL oxidation, effects that translate into better blood flow and may support skin microcirculation. Kitchen tip: eat a small handful as a pre-meal snack to reduce overeating, or grind pistachios into a crumb to use as a crust for fish or as a finishing crumble on salads. Takeaway: pistachios support eye health and vascular resilience. The immediate benefits you'll notice are improved satiety and a subtle lift in energy stability after snacking. 8. Arugula, rocket, the leafy nitrate booster. Walk into a spring market and the peppery, citrusy bite of arugula hits you. A bunch brightens a plate, and Italians use it generously raw or lightly wilted. Arugula is high in dietary nitrates. In the body, nitrates can convert to nitric oxide, a molecule that relaxes blood vessels and improves blood flow. Better circulation supports youthful-looking skin by delivering oxygen and nutrients and helps lower the workload on the heart. Arugula also carries vitamin K-related compounds and glucosinolates that have been associated in observational studies with bone and vascular health. Kitchen tip: add raw arugula to warm dishes at the last minute so it wilts slightly but retains its nitrate content. Pair with a squeeze of lemon and a drizzle of early harvest extra virgin olive oil to help fat-soluble vitamins be absorbed. Takeaway: a daily handful of arugula can produce an almost immediate sense of freshness, brighter skin tone and less sluggishness, while supporting vascular function over time. Number 7. Parmesan. Aged protein that supports bones and collagen. Picture a market wedge of Parmigiano Reggiano, crystalline and aromatic, its rind a promise of long aging. Parmigiano is more than a flavor amplifier. Aging creates broken-down peptides and a dense mineral matrix. During aging, proteins in cheese generate bioactive peptides that research suggests can support blood pressure regulation and act as building blocks for collagen maintenance. Parmesan is also a concentrated source of calcium and phosphorus in a form that pairs well with vitamin K2-rich foods for bone health. In short-term digestion studies, these peptides are detectable in the bloodstream after consumption and appear to influence markers tied to vascular tone and tissue maintenance. Kitchen tip: shave a small amount of aged Parmesan over salads, soups, or steamed vegetables. A little goes a long way. Its salt and umami reduce the need for less healthy flavoring. Takeaway: Parmesan is a practical, concentrated source of bone-supporting minerals and bioactive peptides. It's an easy culinary step that provides immediate flavor reward and contributes to long-term structural resilience. Mini hook coming up: a humble grape that stabilizes collagen and a vegetable that wakes the liver's cleaning machinery. These 7 items already sketch a pattern. Some foods fuel the microbiome and reduce inflammation quickly. Others improve circulation or supply antioxidants that accumulate in tissues prone to aging. They are not single cures, but when you start treating them as intentional ingredients, not condiments, you trigger biochemical cascades that the body can feel within days and measure within weeks. Interlude on synergy: a simple plate with beans, a drizzle of early harvest olive oil, a scattering of arugula, and a few slices of Parmesan. Each element plays both its own role and amplifies the others. Fat with tomato or garlic carries lipid-soluble compounds. Fiber shapes the microbiome's response. Bitter greens prime bile and aid digestion. Tradition mapped out these combinations through taste and practicality. Science is now showing why the pairings work. As we climb into the top 6, the foods get more focused on systemic antioxidant delivery and kitchen technique. The kind of switches you can make tonight that produce the biggest immediate jump in bioavailable nutrients. Up ahead are ingredients where the way you cook them changes everything. Keep an eye on number 2 and number 1. Those 2 are the single most powerful kitchen swaps for getting more protective plant compounds into your body, and you can apply both tonight. Before we move on, a quick practical checklist you can implement this week. Make a big batch of cannellini beans and chill them to boost resistant starch. Build a sofrito base for multiple meals to harness garlic's sulfur chemistry. Keep dried mushrooms on the shelf and rehydrate into broths. Snack on a handful of pistachios and pepper fresh arugula on plates. These are small habits with measurable short-term effects. Now let's move into the top half of the list, where oil, fish, and tomato take center stage, and where simple heat, timing, and synergy can multiply a nutrient's availability by an order of magnitude. Number 6. Red grapes, the small fruit with big collagen promises. A sun-warmed stall glitters with bunches of red grapes, skins taut and dusty with bloom. In kitchen courtyards, a grandmother breaks them apart and feeds them to a child, while another steals a cluster for the salad, humble fruit that has followed Mediterranean tables for millennia. The headline compounds here are oligomeric proanthocyanidins, OPCs, and a range of anthocyanins, concentrated plant polyphenols that research links to stronger collagen networks and protection of small blood vessels. OPCs interact with the proteins that hold skin and connective tissue together, making them less prone to breakdown from oxidative stress. Early human studies and well-controlled trials of grape-derived polyphenol extracts have shown measurable changes in markers tied to capillary strength and collagen stability. Whole grapes carry that chemistry along with fiber and hydration, which amplify the effect. Kitchen tip: eat red grapes whole for the fiber and skin polyphenols, or lightly macerate them with a squeeze of lemon and a scatter of rosemary to make a compound condiment for roasted vegetables or cheeses. Takeaway: regular small servings of red grapes can support skin elasticity and microvascular health. You might notice subtler tone and improved hydration over weeks, and the immediate payoff is a sweet, antioxidant-rich snack that pairs beautifully with savory dishes. Coming up, an oil that's not just flavor but a measurable cellular protector, and the exact type to insist on when you shop. Number 5. Early Harvest Extra Virgin Olive Oil. Liquid gold for cellular defense. A row of bottles sits in the market, labels promising extra virgin. But the real treasure is the green gold oil drawn from olives picked before full ripeness. In many Italian kitchens, oil is treated like a living ingredient, pressed cold, stored dark, and poured raw over soups, vegetables, and bread. The active story centers on polyphenols, especially All-European and its breakdown forms, often summarized as All-European aglycone, plus tiny antioxidants that protect lipids and mitochondria. These molecules act as cellular sentinels. They dampen low-level inflammation, stabilize cell membranes, and support enzymes involved in energy production. Research teams have demonstrated that high polyphenol olive oil increases antioxidant markers in the blood in the short term and is associated with improved endothelial function, how blood vessels relax and constrict in controlled feeding studies. Kitchen tip: choose early harvest, cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil and use it raw as a finishing oil. Store it in dark bottles away from heat. A good spoonful drizzled just before serving preserves the highest polyphenol content. Note: supermarket bottles can be oxidized or low in polyphenols, so look for harvest dates and early harvest or first cold press on the label. Takeaway: swapping the wrong bottle for a true early harvest EVOO is one of the fastest ways to increase your intake of plant polyphenols. A daily drizzle can produce immediate antioxidant support and improve the flavor of everything it touches. Number 4. Basil. Fragrant leaves, subtle brain support. In a basil patch by a tiled window, leaves snap with a peppery clove-like aroma. Italians toss it into salads, slide it into pestos, and lay it atop hot pasta where it softens on contact. A Finnish herb that the palate has rewarded for centuries. Basil contains volatile compounds like fenchol and rosmarinic acid, molecules that have been studied for their antioxidant and mild anti-inflammatory activity. Fenchol, in particular, has emerged in laboratory work as an agent that may influence pathways linked to protein aggregation in the brain. Rosmarinic acid supports cellular antioxidant systems and has been associated in early research with reduced inflammatory signaling. While much of the sophisticated work remains preclinical or in small human studies, consuming fresh aromatic herbs adds both flavor and a concentrated dose of bioactive volatiles that are often lost in long cooking. Kitchen tip: add basil off the heat. Tear or chiffonade leaves and fold them into just-finished dishes or into a raw pesto made with early harvest EVO, pine nuts, and a pinch of parmesan to preserve volatile compounds. Takeaway: basil's fragrant chemistry can support brain protective pathways and offer an immediate sensory lift. Adding it generously changes the flavor balance of a meal and delivers volatile antioxidants you feel as aroma and satisfaction. Number 3. Artichoke, the liver's friendly ally and prebiotic powerhouse. On a coastal table, artichoke hearts steam and glisten with a squeeze of lemon. A family eats them slowly, scraping the tender base with teeth and savoring the custardy texture. In Italy, artichokes appear steamed, marinated, grilled, or folded into risottos. Two molecules take center stage: cynarin, a bitter compound that stimulates bile flow, and inulin, a soluble prebiotic fiber that feeds beneficial gut bacteria. Cynarin's ability to encourage bile production helps the body emulsify fats and clear certain circulating toxins, supporting metabolic flexibility. Inulin reaches the colon intact and is fermented into short-chain fatty acids, including butyrate, which nourishes colon cells and contributes to systemic anti-inflammatory signaling. Clinical studies of artichoke extracts have found improvements in markers of liver function and lipid metabolism. Whole artichokes combine these compounds with fiber and minerals, making the effect more nuanced and sustainable. Kitchen tip: steam or braise whole artichokes until tender and dip the bases into a lemon evu mix, or trim and quarter them to pan-sear with garlic and parsley. Preserve some of the cooking liquid for use as a flavor-rich broth. It contains soluble compounds you'll want on the plate. Takeaway: artichokes are a practical choice for improving digestion and supporting liver-related detox pathways. You may notice better post-meal comfort and steadier digestion within days of regular use. Mini hook. Next is a fish the Mediterranean fishermen deliver at first light: tiny, oily, and shockingly efficient at delivering brain-friendly fats. 2. Sardines. Compact ocean powerhouses for brain and heart. A fisherman unloads a crate at dawn. The sardines are still glinting, whole and compact, their cheeks dusted with salt. In traditional markets, they're bought whole, grilled over coals, or preserved in olive oil. Nothing wasted, bones and all. Sardines are a compressed package of EPA and DHA, the long-chain omega-3s, associated with neuronal membrane health, synaptic signaling, and cardiovascular benefits, plus CoQ10, vitamin D precursors, and bioavailable calcium when eaten with soft bones. Research shows that consistent intake of oily fish improves circulating omega-3 indices within weeks, which correlates with better cognitive function scores in some studies and more stable heart rate variability. Whole sardines, compared with fillets, add microminerals and bone-derived nutrients that support bone and dental health. Eating the fish whole is a practical way to maximize nutrient density. Kitchen tip: eat whole sardines grilled or pan-fried with olive oil and lemon, or preserve them in good veau and use as a topping for salads and toasted bread. If bones are off-putting, try smaller sardines or flake them finely into pastas and spreads. You keep most nutrients while improving texture. Takeaway: sardines are one of the most time-efficient animal sources of brain-supportive omega-3s. Regular servings can shift blood markers quickly and offer immediate energy stability and satiety after meals. And now, the moment where kitchen technique and food chemistry meet most dramatically. Verse 1. Tomatoes, the sauce that unlocks lycopene's full promise. Picture an evening kitchen. A pot simmers low, the air thick with tomato and garlic. A grandmother stirs with a wooden spoon and tips in a generous splash of green gold oil. Strings of homegrown tomatoes hang to dry on a line, then become jars of slow-cooked red in cellars for winter. This is the single most practical culinary ritual for delivering a large dose of bioavailable antioxidants. The superstar compound is lycopene, a carotenoid concentrated in red tomatoes. Lycopene is fat-soluble and more bioavailable after heating and in the presence of oil. The kitchen fact that flips the equation is simple and dramatic. Heat plus fat multiplies lycopene's bioavailability. Early studies suggest this increase can be on the order of 10 to 15 times compared to raw tomato alone. Lycopene accumulates in tissues, such as skin, the prostate, and the lungs, where it can reduce oxidative stress and stabilize cellular membranes. Human feeding trials have shown that cooked tomato products elevate circulating lycopene relatively quickly, and some intervention studies link higher lycopene intake to improvements in skin photoprotection and markers of oxidative damage. Kitchen tip: make a slow-cooked tomato sauce using ripe or canned whole tomatoes. Start with a sofrito of garlic and onion, gently sweated in early harvest extra virgin olive oil. Then add the tomatoes and simmer for at least 20–40 minutes. Finish with torn basil off heat and a final drizzle of raw evu. That combination, gentle heat, olive oil and thyme, is the simplest, most effective instant switch to increase the amount of lycopene your body can use. Takeaway: preparing tomatoes this way is the fastest kitchen change that dramatically improves delivery of a key antioxidant. You'll taste the flavor difference immediately and start increasing tissue lycopene within days to weeks, which supports skin appearance and systemic antioxidant defenses over time. A practical sauce walkthrough you can use tonight. If you want one recipe-style movement to take to the stove, this is it. Warm 2 to 3 tablespoons of early harvest extra virgin olive oil in a pan over low heat. Add 1 medium chopped onion and 2 cloves of crushed garlic. Sweat gently until soft and fragrant but not browned. This is the sofrito stage that converts garlic compounds into their absorbable forms. Add a 28-ounce can of whole-peeled tomatoes, or 5 pounds of ripe fresh tomatoes, chopped. Crush with a spoon and bring to a gentle simmer. Let it cook, uncovered, for 20 to 40 minutes, stirring occasionally until the sauce reduces and brightens in color. Off the heat, stir in a handful of torn basil and finish with a generous tablespoon of raw, early harvest evo. Use immediately over pasta, grilled vegetables, or as a braising medium for fish. The combination of heat and fat is what multiplies lycopene's bioavailability. It's the practical core of the instant claim. Synthesis: pattern and habit over perfection. Across these 13 foods, a few themes keep returning. Fat carries and amplifies fat-soluble nutrients. Gentle heat can transform and liberate beneficial compounds. Fiber feeds bacterial communities that signal to the rest of the body. And whole foods deliver a matrix of cofactors that supplements rarely replicate. Tradition arrived at many of these pairings through taste and seasonality. Oil with tomato, beans with onion, bitter greens with cheese. Modern analysis is simply catching up and explaining the chemistry in ways that let us make smarter, immediate choices. If you're looking for the single most impactful, immediate change, pick one of 2 actions tonight. Make that tomato sauce with good early harvest evo, or add a serving of whole sardines to your week. Both of those steps reliably shift nutrient delivery fast and are easy to repeat. A final, practical weekly plan. Choose one new habit to adopt for 7 days and observe how you feel. Ideas: make a large batch of chilled cannellini beans to use in salads and cold spreads. Add a raw tablespoon of early harvest evu to 2 meals per day. Cook tomatoes as a sauce and use it across lunches and dinners. Snack on a small handful of pistachios instead of refined crackers. Include a basil and garlic-forward pesto over grilled vegetables. Eat sardines twice this week. These are low-friction actions that produce palpable satisfaction immediately and measurable nutritional changes within weeks. One small note about evidence and expectations. Throughout this list, I've described mechanisms and noted where studies show associations or measurable changes. Some of the evidence is robust, and some remains early. None of these foods is a miracle cure, but each is a meaningful contributor to resilience when used consistently. Think of the kitchen as a toolkit for nudging biology toward youthful function. Immediate sensory benefits plus cumulative physiological improvements. Which one will you try first? Pick a single food and one kitchen move to add this week. Tell me in the comments which one you'll test, the recipe, the switch, or the surprising flavor you discover. If you want a follow-up, say whether you'd like full recipes or a shopping guide to early harvest evu and sardines. If this deep dive into practical food biology was useful, subscribe for more science-forward culinary hacks that translate lab findings into what to actually put on the plate. Small, consistent choices at the table are how longevity becomes habit, and tonight's sauce is the easiest place to start.